LG's G6 looks quite different from the G5 that came out before it and completely ditches the G5's modular accessories. Even for phones in general, while not immediately jumping out to everybody, it does feature an unusual aspect ratio and some quite small bezels that really do help it stand out. LG sent me this one for review, and I have a few thoughts about it. This phone has a solid feel in terms of build quality. Honestly, the whole thing is really nice. There's a lot of glass at work, which I'm all for. The phone's edges feel much sharper than the Galaxy S7, which on paper has a similar design of a glass back and metal sides, but that's not a bad thing. Again, I'm all for it. The whole feel and design of this phone has grown on me in the time I've had it, and it's great. The near bezel-lessness of the display is awesome. It's not as bezel-less as like the Mi Mix or the Essential phone, but to be fair, one of those is really limited and the other isn't out yet, so it's not exactly a perfect comparison. The phone's not any wider than my Galaxy S7, but it is taller, which is actually really cool. I can see a lot more in like conversations or apps like Facebook and Reddit. That vertical space actually helps a lot, while I can still easily reach the left side of the phone. I'd still call it a phablet at 5.7 inches, but it definitely feels different from most 5.7 inch phones. It's still hard to reach the top of the phone one-handed, but overall I think that one-handed use is actually quite improved over most phones that have the same 5.7 inch size, but a different, more standard 16:9 aspect ratio. I really love the rounded corners, and I really like the 18:9, otherwise known as 2:1, aspect ratio. Thanks to the aspect ratio, you're multitasking with split-screen apps. Each app is a square taking up half the screen, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And yes, there are some black bars to make up for the 16:9 nature of most content like video, but to me, they only make it look like a regular phone that has kind of standard bigger bezels, so I don't mind, and that's just when you're watching videos or something, and you can optionally blow up the app to have it fill the screen and cut off a bit of content. Okay, so you know I like the design. Now let's dive into it a bit more. We've got a headphone jack on the top, and on the bottom we have a USB-C charging and data port, and the down-firing speaker that definitely gets a bit distorted at maximum volume, but sounds pretty decent to me otherwise. The back is made of glass, which curves at the edges and gives a nice feeling in the hand, and sports the dual rear cameras and fingerprint reader/lock button. I still prefer fingerprint readers on the front of the phone, but we do have double tap on the screen to lock and unlock it, which is really nice because I use my phone sitting on a desk a lot. And that's just subjective anyway. Plenty of people love having a fingerprint reader on the back. Side note, it's really fast, and I love that I don't have to actually push the button to unlock it. You just put your finger on it. There's a short vibration when you unlock the phone with the reader, which is nice. It lets you know that you've unlocked it before you even see the screen. And there's a different vibration when you failed to unlock it because, let's say, you didn't align your finger right or something, which wasn't much of a problem for me. It's pretty accurate and it works really well. If the phone is face down or in your pocket, it ignores the reader, so you have to actually be picking up the phone and trying to use it. And I kind of like that. It's a bit neat. The front of the phone features a flat 2880 by 1440 resolution display, which makes it Quad HD, but at that 2:1 aspect ratio instead of 16:9, and it gives you a whopping 564 pixels per inch. Personally, I think that's way higher than it needs to be, but I'm kind of a broken record at this point. I don't think Quad HD phones are going anywhere. And at least it looks really great. The display uses an IPS LCD panel, unlike Samsung's Galaxy S8, which has a Super AMOLED display. I have nothing bad to say about the image quality, though. It looks great, and I've never had a problem seeing the screen outdoors. It seems to be plenty bright. Above the screen, we have an earpiece for phone calls and the forward-facing camera. Now that we've gone around the outside of the phone, let's talk about the inside. It features a quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 821 processor with Adreno 530 graphics, which is weaker than the Galaxy S8's Snapdragon 835, but still seriously no slouch. And I'm guessing if it had the 835, I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference in anything but intense games. There's also 4 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage with micro SD card expansion, a 3300 milliamp hour non-removable battery, which can be charged wirelessly or through the aforementioned USB-C reversible port, a 5 megapixel front camera, and dual 13 megapixel rear cameras. The wireless connectivity on this phone did give me some issues. My school Wi-Fi uses an app to authenticate and then download a certificate to allow you to connect to the Wi-Fi network, which aside from being a little bit of a strange setup and annoying, never gave me issues on the iPhone 7 or the Galaxy S7. But on the G6, it pretty much never worked. It did initially connect when I first set up the app, but most days I would come in and I was just on LTE all day. Restarting the phone did get it to work at least once or twice when I tried, but mostly I didn't bother. Bluetooth had a much smaller issue, but still annoying. Basically, when I get into my car, I queue up either some music or an audiobook, I hit play, I start the car, my phone connects, and then it starts playing over the speakers. That's what I do with all my phones. Sometimes with the G6, it just didn't switch over to the car, even though the car had said it connected, and I had to actually take out the phone and pause and unpause what I was doing to get it to play. It's not a huge deal, but like I said, it's annoying, and it's not something that happens on my other phones, although even here, it probably only happened 1 in 10 or like 1 in 15 times. Battery life on this phone was also a little bit of a mixed bag. I enabled the always-on display from day one, and in the week and a half or so I used it with that enabled, the phone didn't make it through most days, even with some of them being quite light usage days. In fact, I'm pretty sure it only made it through 2 full days. Having a phone die on me before the end of the day, unless I've played a bunch of games or something, isn't actually a problem I've had to deal with for quite a while, so I really wasn't a fan of this. Fortunately, when I disabled the always-on display, battery life got significantly better and started getting me through every day, usually with 20% left or more on lighter usage days. I'm guessing that the IPS panel on the screen is to blame for the always-on display sucking up so much power, because the always-on display on the AMOLED Galaxy S7 doesn't seem to kill the battery nearly as much. Now, I can live without always-on display itself. That one feature isn't that big of a deal. However, there's no other notification method on this phone. Sure, when you get a text, the screen will flash on, but once that initial flash has come on and gone away, it never comes back on. So if your phone is sitting in front of you on a desk, like I have mine most days throughout the day while I'm at school, there's no way to just glance at your phone and know that you have a notification that came in, let's say 5 minutes ago. A notification LED, or the ability to use Google's ambient display, which would flash on again once in a while, would be really nice here. Now on to software. The phone shipped with and is currently running Android 7.0 Nougat. Android is pretty great these days, so it's nice and it works really well. I do have a complaint though. While LG's Android skin is not very intrusive at all. In fact, there's only 2 changes I actually noticed at all, which were the Settings app and the swipe down menu. And actually the swipe down menu looks really good in white the way LG has it set up. I still don't understand why they deliberately nerf the swipe down menu. Changing what Wi-Fi network or Bluetooth device you're connected to, or checking your data usage in the swipe down menu directly over any app are native Android features, and they're awesome. LG, however, takes this out for some reason. So the only thing you can use those swipe down menu tiles for is enabling or disabling Bluetooth instead of actually managing them, or if you want, you can long press them to shortcut to the Settings app where you can actually manage them. But that's actually taking you off the screen you're on now, which you just don't have to do in stock Android. I don't get it. It's the same thing they did with the LG V20, and I just don't understand. The way it works in stock Android feels better, and it's useful, but it's just being removed. Honestly, it's not a huge deal in the day-to-day. I just don't get it, and it's kind of a pet peeve because it seems completely useless. Overall, Android 7.0 Nougat is very smooth on this device, and performance is really great. I'd say the phone definitely feels snappier than my Galaxy S7. I used the stock LG launcher for the duration of my time with the G6, and it's not bad. There's nothing amazing about it, and in my opinion, there's nothing terrible about it. It's a launcher. I find it weird that initially it had no app drawer, so all of your apps are out in the open, and if you want to hide an app, you have to actually go into the settings for the launcher and hide it from your home screen, meaning you've got no way to open it if you ever do want to use it. That's why I like having an app drawer. However, I received a software update later on that added another version of the launcher with an app drawer. So thanks, LG. I really have to appreciate that they're giving you that option and they're still working on their software to make it the best they can. Seriously, that's great. I love to see a company do that. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a launcher. You can install another one if you want. My last note is that after installing all of my apps and positioning on the home screen, I got a software update or something and restarted the phone only to have it randomly move them all back to their default position. That was actually really annoying at the time. It took me a while to move them around where I wanted them. That said, restarting the phone again never ever moved anything around again. It was just a one-time thing, but I was pretty annoyed. All right, let's talk about those cameras. There are two on the rear, both 13 megapixel, and one being f1.8 and the other f2.4. And each camera has the same range of photo resolutions and the same range of video resolutions, including Ultra HD. There's also the always fun slow-mo recording mode. So you might be wondering, why two cameras if they're pretty much identical? Well, they're actually not. Basically, one is a regular lens and the other is a wide-angle lens that'll let you capture more in the frame. You can toggle between the two using on-screen buttons in the camera app or just by changing the zoom on the camera. When you change the zoom, you can definitely tell when it goes from wide to regular and vice versa, but in my experience, it did this a lot faster than it did on the LG V20. So that's really great. Again, that's improvements and I love that. I really like having the option of a wide-angle lens. It's great for things like taking pictures of rooms, which I find just often don't come out in pictures very well. When it comes to performance of the cameras, I feel like a bit of a broken record after doing the Galaxy S7 and iPhone 7 reviews. You're going to get pretty good, usable shots in a lot of low-light situations and really nice pictures in good lighting. They're good cameras, and I really like having that wide and regular lens option. The front camera is a 5 megapixel f2.2 with a range of picture and video resolutions available that you'll be seeing on the screen right now. It also has a wide mode and a more zoomed in mode, although this time it's only one lens. And again, you just use on-screen buttons to toggle between the two modes, but there's no actual zoom on the forward-facing cameras. You just pick wide or regular. Again, decent low light and good well-lit photos. So overall, what do I think of the LG G6? You might be thinking, wow, you were pretty hard on it. And yeah, I was. But my overall verdict is that this is an excellent phone. Yeah, the battery life gives some trouble with always on display. And I wish there was a notification LED or something. I think it's kind of an oversight that there's not. And yeah, I don't know why they nerfed the swipe down menu. But all that said, I love the form factor of the phone. I love the look and feel and the build quality. It's fast. It has good battery life as long as you have always on display disabled. The cameras are good, and the phone is just nice to use. I like it a lot, and I can definitely safely say that if you think, based on this video, that it sounds good, then I recommend it to you. Check it out. If you don't like the sounds of it, maybe it's not for you. But if you can, I'd recommend checking it out and trying it because it is a good phone overall. So that's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the G6 with comments down below. Are you thinking of buying one? Do you have one already? Give this video a like if you liked it. That helps me out a ton. And if you loved it, subscribe and ring that bell to get a notification when I post more content like this. If you want to buy this phone or anything else, check out those Amazon affiliate links in the description. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram for updates. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.